Welcome back. At the lowest point of the day now is the index breaking below the earlier low of 24,600. We are now at 24,595, so 120 points down on the Nifty, and another 450 down on the Sensex as well. The stocks that are leading the losses as of now, if you could pull up the contributors, they would give you an idea of the stocks that are contributing to this fall on the Nifty and on the Sensex as well. It, of course, has to be the index heavyweights that are contributing to the downside. And if you could take a look at them, and of course, at the lowest point of the day, and of course, not take away from the fact that the broader markets too are showing some bit of resilience, but not so much. Look at that. ICICI Bank, L&T, Bharti Airtel among the top contributors to the downside. But continuing our coverage from the BofA Securities 2025 India Conference, Nimesh is now in conversation with Gunjan Prithyani, the senior analyst of India Auto and Auto Components, to discuss the latest trends from the sector. Nimesh.
Thanks, Arma. So you rightly pointed out, I have with me Gunjan from BofA Securities. Gunjan, thank you very much for joining us from the conference and taking time out for us. First, let me start with the near-term numbers and the near-term outlook for the auto industry. The numbers have been quite muted, and also the guidance seems to be quite muted as well from most of the industry players. First, the short-term and the near-term view on auto industry.
Okay. Thank you, Nimesh, for having me on your channel, and thank you for coming here. As I reflected the data, and not just what came through yesterday, but for the last 3-6 months, I think the only space that sort of stands out is tractors. Combination of things, good monsoons, good farm cash flows, etc. But outside of that, I think you look at PVs, CVs or two-wheelers, the underlying trend has been very flattish or maybe marginal growth at best. So clearly, the trend line is softish. And I would go ahead and say that even for the next couple of months, we could continue to see a little bit muted trend because we are in a low season for autos, it being monsoons. And there is pretty much lack of new launches on the horizon. So, my sense is a bit muted for another few months and, some consolidation in the near term.
Sure. Also, at the entry level, both at the bike and at the car level, the numbers have been quite soft and muted. What's your take there? Is it going to take more time for revival in that space?
So I think the challenge there has clearly been more about affordability. The price points that have risen due to regulations over the last couple of years is a headwind. I would say that, it has been a couple of years of muted volumes in those sub-segments. And if we see a combination of rural coming back, rate cycle easing, and some of the government policy support through income tax relaxation, my sense is that we should see some revival, but it's going to be very gradual. I think the only point or data point that I'll sort of bring out here is that if you actually look at the non-SUV or hatches segment, it was deteriorating by almost 16-17% consecutively for last 2 years. But if you look at last 6 months, the data has been actually flatlining. So that tells you that things aren't deteriorating anymore. When they improve is, we'll have to watch out.
Sure. We spoke about the near-term headwinds, but what about the little long-term tailwinds for the sector? Second half we will see the good monsoon playing out. The festive season is quite early this time. Rate cuts will get passed on, and also the interest, the benefit that the customers are going to get with the cut in taxes for a lot of people. So from that perspective, do you think second half is going to be quite strong for autos? And within that, what would be your top bets?
Sure. So I think I'll take this more from a sub-segment perspective. Tractor is one space, I think, which is a bright spot and continues to remain top on our pecking order within the sub-segments. But I think the other space that we are constructive on is passenger vehicle. I do think that when we get to the second half of this fiscal, we will see launch activity picking up, and launch activity is an important driver for bringing the volumes back. So that's one. And secondly, if you look at last year, it was a slow year for passenger vehicle industry. So to some extent, the base is not as demanding as we get towards the second half of the year. So combination of things, some you pointed out, income tax relaxations, rate cycle easing, pickup in launch activity. and a less demanding base sort of gives me some comfort that we should see a rebound on the passenger vehicle. So it would be tractors followed by passenger vehicle in terms of sub-segments for our pecking order.
Sure. Gunjan, we reported about a large block in Ola wherein Hyundai sold out, and you yesterday actually downgraded the stock as well. I won't come to stock specific, but largely in the two-wheeler space, how are you looking at the EV penetration and who you think would be the biggest beneficiaries or the big winners in the two-wheeler EV space going forward?
Okay, so it's very interesting, Nimesh, that you bring up EVs. If you look at EVs, it has largely been a two-wheeler phenomena for the last couple of years. But if you actually look at the trend for last 6-9 months, we've seen the change in narrative from it moving from two-wheelers to four-wheelers. So I would say if you look at two-wheelers, it's been sort of range-bound at about sub 6%. And we just keep seeing the tables turning between the top three. But the excitement has been more on the four-wheeler side. For last year, there was this common narrative that, EV saturating in four-wheelers. But you look at this year, we've already reached from sub 2% range to 4%. So market has doubled since October. Of course, very low level, but that sort of tells you if you bring products which are more exciting, if you price them attractively, there is case to be made on the four-wheeler side as well. So still very early stages, but I think the narrative has shifted a lot more in terms of excitement towards four-wheelers on
And
EVs.
do you think Tesla is going to further excite the market in terms of penetration, in terms of the reach and all, or it's going to be disruptive? What's your take on Tesla's entry into India?
Interesting question, and it's been a year, more than a year that we've been talking about Tesla now. I think, of course, the new EV policy or scheme that government has put out is an interesting concessionary duty. But if I just look at what Tesla's plans so far, known to public, known in public domain are, it's largely a retail-driven strategy. A lot of the hirings that they've spoken about are largely retail, customer service oriented. Hence, to some extent, it still feels like, the cars when they come into India are going to be more niche premium. And hence, the scale-up would be a lot more gradual. There isn't a manufacturing plan on the table as of now. But I'll also, maybe talk a little bit about a lot foreign brands that have come in India and have been marginalized. And we've seen it. The many foreign brands which have come and gotten marginalized or exited out of India, because it's not just about bringing a product. I mean, I think Indian customer is a difficult customer to please. You need features, you need right price, you need service network. So I think just bringing a product is not something that can assure you of a success. So let's see their plans.
So from a product point of view, Gunjan, you think M&M has done the right thing? They've placed the right products, right pricing, and they could be one of the big winners in the EV space going forward?
So Nimesh, I'll refrain from any stock-specific comments, but I'll say that we're in a very early stages right now. So I think it's very early to say who will be the winner and the loser in this, because I think both the customer choices as well as the regulation is evolving. And I mean, the parallel that I can draw is two-wheelers, right? We've seen winners change names or top three change so quickly in last 1 year, right? So let's let the sort of space stabilize a bit. Too early to call the winners and losers. Let
me ask you one last thing before I let you go, Gunjan. There's going to be a GST meet in June, sometime in June. The dates are not yet announced, but always there is a hope of some relief for the two-wheelers in the GST rates. Your sense on whether that will come, and if it comes, how big could be an impact on the two-wheelers?
Okay, fingers crossed. But this is a recurring hope for last many years that I've been looking at this space, and since GST came, that two-wheelers is a space that that warrants lower rates. We don't know. There has been a long-standing ask from the industry.
If it comes, it will be a big positive for the two-wheelers?
I would say affordability has been a big issue for the industry. So, bringing a 10% reduction from a 28 to 18% is certainly a big respite. But let's see what happens on the GST.
Okay, Gunjan, thank you very much for joining us. Back to the studios, guys.
Thank you so much, Nimesh. Interesting conversation there. Of course, affordability is one point that Gunjan raised, and that is something that R.C. Bhargava of Maruti Suzuki has been highlighting for quite a while now. So auto stocks will continue to remain in focus for a variety of reasons. Interesting conversation there at the BofA Securities conference. By the way, the Nifty is still down 90 points, so it continues to fluctuate from the highs to the lows. It's a volatile trading session so far. We take a short break. On the other side, Pawan Goyal from Naukri.com joins us to discuss the latest job and hiring trends. Stay tuned.